with you afterwards. So yes, thank you very much everybody for joining this training session for our agents based in the UK to introduce all things Plymouth, University of Plymouth International College and our partner university. So we'll start with some introductions. So my name is Tim Gutzel. I am Director of Marketing and Admissions for the college, and I'll pass over to my colleagues now to introduce themselves. Amy, would you like to start?
Yes, I would, thank you. Hi there, my name is Amy Byrne and I am an admissions officer here at UPIC in Plymouth. And I will pass you over to Nico next.
Thank you. I'm Nico Staurenghi. I'm the admission manager here at UPIC. And I think we also got Jake here.
Jake's currently on mute at the moment.
Rookie error, Jake, being on mute.
How poor.
We were trying to read your lips.
My name is Jake Hutton. I'm a student experience officer, and I will pass over to Amber.
Jake, yeah, my name's Amber. I'm the marketing and student recruitment coordinator here at UPIC.
I think that's all of us, isn't it? But as you can see, we have representation here from our marketing, student recruitment teams, from admissions, and from our student experience team. And you can see from the slide that's on the screen now that we're quite a small and compact team, but you have representation from all of those areas. So Jake from student experience, we have Amy and Nico from admissions, and Amber from marketing and student recruitment. And as I said, my name is Tim. I'm Director of Marketing and Admissions. We also, one more introduction we should make, Dr. Richard Parkman is in the call, and he is from Plymouth Business School. Richard, would you like to say hello?
Sorry, that didn't start well. I was still muted. So good afternoon, everybody. Good to see you all.
So we are trying to tailor this webinar specifically for the needs and interests of agents based in the UK. But this is the kind of agenda we're going to go through over the next half an hour or so. So we've done the introductions, you've met the team. We'll talk about the quality of the university, about our entry requirements generally for the college, but then more specifically, we know for agents based in the UK, issues like foundation students who've not been successful elsewhere, EU students, Ukrainian applicants. We know those are issues of particular interest to you. Also, we have a number of May start options. That sometimes gets overlooked between September that everybody knows about, and a range of January options as well. But we have a number of May start options. It's not too late to apply. We have a 29th of March application deadline for May. So still plenty of time to get your applications in. Then Richard will tell us all the many varied and wonderful things about Plymouth Business School. We'll give you some technical information, so things like how to pay or issues around the CAS. We'll tell you about our dates. We'll also give you some more interesting stuff, so some student success stories. And we'll talk about our marketing and how we can support you. Our different programs, pre-sessional English, scholarships. We know that's always exciting. Amy's going to take us on a virtual tour of Plymouth so you can get an idea of how the city looks, as well as all the factual information. We'll tell you about accommodation, about our social media and where you can see us and your prospective students can see us online, about the service we provide. And we'll also leave plenty of time at the end for a question and answer session. But if you do have questions as we're going along, then please do feel free to use the chat function and we'll try and keep up with them there. So moving rapidly on. The University of Plymouth. Now this is really quite unusual and you should compare this with other universities that you represent and work with. But in 2023, Plymouth was awarded TEF Triple Gold. So TEF is the Teaching Excellence Framework. And we talk about triple gold because it was gold overall, gold for student experience, and gold for student outcomes. So this is an official exercise carried out by the government's Office for Students, and very few institutions achieve that triple gold ranking. So you can be confident of the quality of the University of Plymouth. And then moving on to our entry requirements. Nico, would you like to talk through these, please?
Sure, thank you, Tim. So here at UPIC, we offer a program for 3 different entry level: foundation, first year direct entry, and pre-master for the postgraduate. So very generally speaking, our academic entry requirement for foundation will be completion of a secondary school, first year completion of higher senior secondary school, or at least 48 UCAS tariff point at UCAS level, and for pre-master qualification equivalent to at least UK higher national diploma, HND, or bachelor degree. With regard to the English requirements, so for foundation, for example, if they submit the IELTS, we are set 5.5 overall, and for first year and pre-master, 6 overall, and in all cases, at least 5.5 in each band. But we do also accept other tests, for example, the academic PT, where we ask for 59 overall, and also other tests which are mentioned on our website, as well as some more country-specific entry requirement for this different level. If your applicant has got a study gap, please encourage them to submit the application anyway, because we do consider all study gap. What we do is usually ask for a CV explaining what they've been doing since the last time they've been studying, and the personal statement, again, where they got the chance to tell us why they want to return to study now, apart from why they want to choose this program and why Plymouth in particular. If the study gap is 8 years or more, we'll refer the application to our academic board, which will assess the whole application, including the statement and their reason for returning to study now. If your applicant has got a previous visa refusal, again, we'll refer the application to the academic board together with a copy of their visa refusal. If there are any discrepancy in the document regarding names or date of birth, we'll need to see some official document where basically they evidence the reason for the discrepancy. For example, it can be a marriage certificate. And it's important that all communication or documents are uploaded via the study link agent portal, so the same portal where the application has been submitted, in order to keep all communication or document regarding the same student in the same place.
Thank you, Nico. We're often asked about students who have taken a foundation program elsewhere in the UK. It's a word we don't like very much, but we know we often refer to these as recycled students. So the UPIC position on this is, yes, we are happy to consider an application when an applicant has been through a foundation program elsewhere. So that might be with Into or CEG or study group or another pathway provider. And as we all know, sometimes they pass that program, but they don't achieve the required progression grade. So it may be that the pass mark is 50%, but the progression grade to go on to the relevant degree program at the partner university could be 60%, for example. So yes, we would be very happy to consider applications from students in that category. So they've passed the program, but not achieved the progression grade. Most likely, the application would need to be in the same subject area, or if a student was looking to make a switch of subject area, we'd need a strong personal statement to explain their rationale for that change. If a student has previously very strong grades in the school system at home, but then they haven't done so well in a foundation, if they've got a strong previous history, then obviously that makes a case even stronger. In each case, we would require a UPIC academic board decision, but don't let that put you off. That for us can be a very quick process that can take just a few minutes to achieve that outcome. So yes, is the answer to the question of whether we will consider applications from students who've previously taken a foundation program elsewhere in the UK. Do we have any questions on anything we've spoken about so far? Okay, so then moving on, UPIC and EU students, would you like to go through this one, Nico?
Sure. So we can accept EU students who have settled or pre-settled status, which means obviously they won't need a CAS because they're free to live and study in the UK. What we will require in both cases is evidence of their settled and pre-settled status with the code that we can verify it, and we'll send a questionnaire so that they can provide evidence of where they've been living in the last 3 years. Also for European student, there might be an option of exempting the IELTS according to what they've been studying, how they've been studying English in their own countries. So obviously, depending on the country, we'll see whether we are able to exempt the IELTS according to the English grade that they had in high school. Otherwise, they can always provide the usual test like the academic IELTS or the PTE. There is also a link to the guidance on the gov.uk for EU student. But yeah, the important thing to remember is apart from the evidence of settled and pre-settled status, the questionnaire that will be sent out to make sure that they can be charged home fees.
Thank you, Nico. I can see that Bing has joined the call, Bing Chen, so our colleague who manages the UK market. So Bing, would you like to say hello? And then is there anything else we've missed, do you think, so far on either of these two key areas for UK agents?
Thanks, Tim. Hi, everyone. My name is Bing. I'm sure some of you have met me before, and thank you very much for joining this session. So it's so lovely to have a UPIC team and also Dr. Richard from Plymouth Business School to join our sessions. In terms of the entry requirement we mentioned earlier about EU pre-settled and settled scheme students and also the recycled students, I'm sure there are some questions around these students' entry requirement. If you have any questions, just feel free to leave in the chat box or contact me or Kat from my team in terms of any potential inquiries you will have about this group of students in terms of the applications.
Thank you, Bing. And then the other particular category of students we wanted to look at, because we know this will be of interest to you as well, is Ukrainian applicants. So in this case, we effectively follow the government's guidance on this. So if a student has been granted leave under the Homes for Ukraine scheme, or the Ukraine Family Scheme, or the Ukraine Extension Scheme, they will be eligible for student support. We're happy to consider their application, and they are likely to be charged home fee status for tuition fees rather than international fees. So there is no requirement of Ukrainian students that they provide 3 years residence in the UK, evidence of that, because obviously there are some very particular circumstances that apply here. But a Ukrainian applicant must be living in the UK and ordinarily resident in the UK. So that means, in effect, settled here with a UK address on the day when the first term of the academic year officially starts. So they need to be here and settled. And then certain family members of persons who are granted leave under one of the schemes I mentioned above can also be eligible for student support and for home fee status. So yeah, that's essentially our position, which reflects the UK government position. And you can see there's we've provided a link there to additional information on the gov.uk website about the schemes which apply currently for Ukrainian students. In general, we're very happy to consider applications from Ukrainian students. They're likely to pay a home tuition fee, but as we say there on the slide, each individual student would need to check their own fee status and entitlement with the Home Office. Anything we should say on that, Bing, from your experience? Do you think anything else about Ukrainian applicants?
We come across some queries in terms of the English qualification, whether like a Duolingo or what's that called? There is another like a Lancert, if I remember the name correctly, can be accepted because Ukrainian and also EU onshore student, they wouldn't need CAS. So just wondering, do we have any flexibility in terms of the English qualifications for those group of students?
So obviously with the English requirement, we need to mirror what the university accept. So at the moment, I'm afraid Duolingo and Language Third are not on the list of acceptable qualification,
Right.
neither for home student, I'm afraid.
Right.
But yeah, if we got other tests that we can accept, for example, we got the TOEFL IBT.
Yeah.
They can take that. Of course, we got the IGCSEs. Then if they got C in English as a second or a first language, we can accept that.
That's great. That's great. Thanks.
No
Okay.
problem.
Any questions on Ukraine or any of these other specific categories of applicant we've discussed?
Hello, team. It's
Hi,
Mohammed.
Mohammed.
Yeah, hi, hi, team, and Bing. Thank you for arranging this in a online session. So I have just we deal as well Ukrainian student. So what we face actually, they have a language issue most of the times actually. So do you have any language support course, something like the pre-sessional or something, which could help them to elevate their. And most of them we face actually they have a use, but the student has a qualification, probably they're back home, even good qualification, but they facing the language barrier, that one. Do you have any support from there?
Yeah, we do. Absolutely, Mohammed. So we have a number of pre-sessional programs, and we'll go through all the details of those later on in the presentation, actually, but at a number of different levels. So from 11 weeks to 8 to 6 to 2 weeks, and there's a variety of different options, either on campus or online. But yeah, we do have a number of pre-sessional English options, which can go down as low as IELTS 4.5 overall, with 4.0 in some elements. So yeah, there's lots of pre-sessional options. Also, there's kind of in-sessional support. So we have within the foundation program, for example, we have a study skills and communications module. So that focuses not just on English, but English more for academic purposes as well. And we can provide out of the curriculum support as well. So we have a number of clubs for students who may need support in particular areas, and English can be one of those. So both or all of before the program, formally during the program, and less formally outside the program. Yeah, there's lots of support we can provide with English. Okay, so moving on. I mentioned at the start, everyone knows about our September start. Most people know about our January start, but we have a range of May start options as well. You have most of a month left to apply for these. So not everything we offer is available in May, but we have 7 different options at both foundation and pre-masters levels. And I won't go through the whole list there, but you can see there's a whole range of options. Maritime business would be something quite interesting to pick out of there, or psychology as well at pre-masters level, as well as tourism and some of the more obvious business and computing options, business and management, accounting, data and computer sciences as well at postgraduate level. But point being there mainly, please don't forget we have a wide range of May start options available and still several weeks left to apply. I'm going to pass over to Richard now to talk about Plymouth Business School. But as I do that, we also have a poll that I'm going to set running. So just to keep you interested, maybe you'd like to have a look at that, and we'll go through the answers to that at the end. But I'll launch that in a moment as I hand over to Richard.
Thank you, Tim. So good afternoon, everybody. So as Tim said at the top of the meeting, I'm Richard Parkman. I'm the Associate Head of School for Plymouth Business School, responsible for all things international, whether that's partnerships or inbound students, recruitment, and working with our colleagues at UPIC, which we've done so for many years now. And very successfully, I might add. And it's probably worth mentioning at this time, we have a long track record of students progressing from their original or their study with UPIC to Plymouth Business School and beyond to successful careers. So, you know, you can be rest assured you're in safe hands wherever your students decide to sort of embark their journey. So, Plymouth Business School, we are one of 3 schools that forms part of the Faculty of Arts, Humanities and Business. We currently split into broadly 2 divisions, as you can see. So it's accounting, economics and finance, which is the smaller division within the school. And then we have a larger area of which is the business division, and is made up of all the areas and topics you would expect to see, such as marketing, human resource, business and management, but areas that you may not be that familiar with to see in a business school, but tourism, hospitality and events management, as well as international shipping, logistics and operations. So the school currently has approximately 85 full-time members of staff with over 2,200 taught students. So it's a very vibrant school, both not only with staff, but students as well. And we also have in excess of 100 PhD and doctoral students. As well as that, we do have a lot of international students, because not only have we have our school here in Plymouth and our tour programs here in Plymouth, we also have students studying Plymouth Business School programs all around the world as well. So again, we are a very cosmopolitan school. Okay, next slide, please. So here's the snapshot of the postgraduate taught programs. Again, as you would sort of expect, MSc in Business and Management, which is one of our more popular programs, which is targeted at people coming from an undergraduate or have less in the way of experience around business and management. So this is more of a sort of early career type masters. MA in HRM, this is CIPD accredited for level 7. International business focuses on all things related to the global workplace and global commerce. So again, does attract people, international students who are focusing on the sort of business world. MSc Finance, as it says, digital and social media marketing. As you'll see, we don't do a master's in just straight marketing. We felt that it's more appropriate given the current contemporary world about digital social media marketing. Tourism and hospitality, and then we're moving into our logistics, maritime, supply chain operations as well. We have 2 MBAs or Masters of Business. We recently launched our full-time MBA in January this year, so that is a new product. It is worth noting that applications for this, they need to have they need to have at least 1 year's industry experience. So again, if you have applications and they have got no work experience, we would guide them onto the MSc Business Management, or Tim will talk a little bit later on about the opportunities that UPIC offer. But it is a product that we're sort of fairly proud of. As well as that, we have a part-time top-up, which is essentially students don't need to come to the UK. They can study it at distance, but there is no at distance because it's simply a project, a 60 credit project that they need to meet. But they do have prior requirements, up to 120 credits at level 7 before they would be allowed to enroll. So that's the sort of postgraduate offer that we have here in Plymouth. So next slide, please.
It's the great name dropping slide next, isn't it, Richard?
It is, yes. So as I said at the beginning, we've had a long-standing successful relationship here in Plymouth with Tim and all colleagues. And these are some of the destinations that students have gone on to go work. Now, I can't be put hand on heart, say I can name the student, where they came from, where they've ended up, but I can guarantee you that every one of these organizations has got or had a Plymouth Business School graduate work for them at some point post-graduation. So yeah, so you can sort of see the destination that these students can hope to aim for. The sky's the limit for them. So happy to take any questions. Thank you, Tim.
Richard. Any questions specifically on the business school for Dr. Richard? You must have covered everything very succinctly, Richard.
Thank you. First time for everything, I guess.
Oh,
there is
Michal, you have your hand raised.
Yes, thank you very much for the great presentation and explaining us. My question is the university help in any way students get an internship or a first work experience in this kind of companies? Thank you.
If I just take that briefly, Tim,
Sure.
On some of our programs, there is opportunity for students to get supported for some work. I think it's mainly on international business, but for most, because of the short duration, there isn't time quite often for them to undertake a placement. But international business, we have a placement, a 6-week placement built in. But obviously, as part of the university, we have an employability hub and all the other things that you would expect at an organization of our size, which do and does support students and graduates, not only while they're here looking for jobs, but also post-study. And the university has a number of career fairs and such, so on and such like, and people come in from industry. But yeah, I'm not sure I've entirely answered your question, but that's a flavour of some of the activities that we do undertake.
Yes, you did. Thank you very much for it.
No problems.
Cheers.
Thanks, Michal. So any more questions for Richard about Plymouth Business School specifically? Okay, thank you, Richard. Let's move on then. We need there's some dry factual stuff we need to work through, but it's all very important. Starting with payment information. Nico, would you like to do this? Or Amy?
Of course.
Which of you would like to?
Yeah, no, don't mind. So with regards to the deposit that we ask our student in order to secure their place. So for pre-master student, the deposit is 100% of the fee because it's a shorter program. For foundation and first year student is at least 50% of the year one fees. If your student are a sponsor or they want to apply for a student loan, we need to receive proof that they apply for a student loan or proof of sponsorship if they are sponsored by their local government. With regards to the payment, payment is now done via Flywire, which instruction will be on every unconditional offer letter, but is also on our website, and you can see a link here as well. If your student is from one of those countries who would also need to provide financial evidence in order to get a CAS, so we request a bank statement, but I think we got a slide straight after regarding the CAS, so I will explain more regarding the bank statement later. With regard to the payment deadline, so currently is the 5th of April for May. So what we want is to ensure to give your student enough time to get their visa to be here in time. So we might be able to consider payment after the 5th of April in case your student want to apply for priority or super priority visa, or of course in case your student doesn't need a visa if they got settled or pre-settled status. But obviously what we cannot do is to accept the payment at such a later stage that it wouldn't allow them enough time to get a CAS, a visa, and to be here in time to start their course. If your international student wants to purchase Navinsure, is an extra insurance coverage. It's not compulsory, but if they want to purchase it, they will need to pay the relative fee, which is currently £380 before they receive the CAS, so usually at deposit time. regards to commission, so agent will receive further commission when the student progressing to the university. And we also have here our academic fees. So May will be the last chance to pay the academic fees 23-24. And you also can see the fees that will apply from September, the fees for academic year 24-25. HHS, Health and Human Science, is slightly more expensive because it's a longer program, it's 3 semester, while pre-master it's less expensive because it's just a 1 semester program.
Thanks, Nico. As a good reminder, actually, that's another good reason for sending us applications to start in May, because it's the last of the 3 intakes to which the lower fee applies. Quite apart from the fact the weather's getting a lot nicer, so if your students are coming from another country, it's a nicer time, a nicer introduction to the UK than January sometimes can be. Amy, would you like to demystify the CAS for us?
I would, thank you. So the first step towards getting the CAS is, after you make the payment, after you reach unconditional offer, we will then ask you to fill in the acceptance form and the provisional CAS. And there will also be a section contained within if your student is under 18. So that does require some details from the parents and the UK guardian, which we then do go and verify. Next, you'll see a pre-CAS checklist. Does require that the student checks and double checks what they are putting here, as it's sort of a last stopgap, if you like, to check that everything is correct. Once we have that, we will then ask for the bank statement. And as you can see there, it requires that the student shows that they have enough money, plus the remaining first year fees to take them through their first year. We must see this amount for 28 days consecutively, and it must end no more than 31 days prior to the visa. At this point, we do find that there is some back and forth, that, that we sometimes have to go back and ask for more. And this is just to ensure that the process goes smoothly for the student and for yourself, and to avoid any risk of visa refusal. The bank statement must be in the student's name or the parent or legal guardian's name. And if it's not in the student's name, we also ask for a letter of consent and the student's birth cert. Once the bank statement is fine, we should then be able to raise the CAS to allow the student to then apply for the visa. We did speak about deadlines earlier, and we have those deadlines in place to allow the student as much time as possible to get everything in order to get their visa in time for traveling. So once the student does have the visa, please do let us know so we can communicate with the student about their arrival. And I think that is everything, Tim.
Thank you very much, Amy. So moving on to important dates. So our next intake is in May, then the one after that is in September. For May, as we've mentioned before, we have an application deadline of the 29th of March. As Amy mentioned just then as well, it's a point well made that we have these deadlines, but that's only so that we can be sure students have enough time to get everything organised. If you have a particular case where you think we can get everything done after this deadline, these are not absolute. They're kind of guidelines so that people don't get caught out and do everything too late. But if an applicant has your support to get everything processed in good time, then we can be flexible around this. What we can't be flexible about is the last enrolment date for postgraduate, for pre-masters, because that's quite a short program, and we just feel that anyone who starts late is seriously compromised in their chances of doing well on that program. So our pre-masters last enrolment date is the first day of teaching, but for foundation and year one, we do have a little bit more flexibility around the last enrolment, as you can see there. But teaching in May starts on the 13th of May for undergraduate, 20th of May for postgraduate, and we have a week's enrolment activities before that. And then similarly for September, end of July is the application deadline. The teaching starts in the middle of the month. Last enrolment towards the end of the month, 27th of September for undergraduate, 23rd of September for postgraduate. And then counting back, as we've explained before, with CAS deadlines and payment deadlines, which allow everything to be organised in good time. So those are our important dates for the next couple of intakes. And then moving on to student success. Jake, would you like to have a go at this one? Jake is part of our student experience team, the student experience officer.
Yeah, so student success. So as you can see from the numbers on the screen, we do have a very high success rate of people progressing from UPIC to the university with over 85%. I would say the student success obviously does come down to a few things. So a really high attendance, a really high engagement normally does lead to a really, really good student progression. We have a lot of students who have not only progressed from UPIC to the university, but been really, really good university students. You know, some of our biomed and business students have already been reported back to us as being really, really good in their class. So yeah, as you can see on the screen, the 85% student progression, we like to keep it like that, but hopefully for the near future, it stays at that level as well.
No, it's going up, Jake.
It's going up. It's going to 95%.
No, we'd like to get above 90. For years,
99.
we were 90% plus. So the 85% is great.
Yeah.
So what that essentially means is if you send us a student who's prepared to work hard and engage, then they're very likely to succeed and graduate from the university. But we'd like to see those numbers even higher. We're not just about generating fees. We're all about positive outcomes for the student. Jake, what else does the student experience team do to support students while they're here? You have various social activities, don't you, and that kind of thing?
Yeah, so we're sort of the first port of call for students when they're at UPIC, whether it be settling into being in the UK and being at the college for things such as, you know, applying for bus passes, signing up for the GP, being directed to certain services. But as they progress at UPIC, we do also do a lot of events and social activities as well to keep them engaged with their studies. And if students do, in the rare chance, start to go a bit wayward and stop attending their class, we are really good at sort of pulling them back in and keeping them engaged in their studies as well.
It's great. Thanks, Jake. And then Amber, would you like to describe how we can help our agent colleagues with their marketing efforts?
Yeah, of course. Thanks, Tim. So we have several things that we can do to help with marketing. So we have some subject-specific flyers, which you may have already received. So we have those flyers in marine, architecture, and health and human sciences. So that can really help students see what they're signing up for. We have open days and education fairs. We have a fairly new promotional video as well. So if you want to be directed to that, we can send you the link. That's fine. We have posters and banners. If you have any ideas, though, if you'd like some more testimonials from specific students from specific regions or on specific courses, then let us know and we can contact our students that we already have or some of our alumni as well. So yeah, and if you have any questions, then do let me know.
Great. Thanks, Amber. And then moving on to our product range. So I won't go through everything that's listed here, but the important number to remember is the number 3. So 3 levels of study: foundation, first year, and pre-masters, and 3 intakes during the year in September, January, and May. As Nico mentioned earlier, all of those foundation and first year programs are 2-semester programs with one exception, which is health and human sciences, which is a 3-semester program. The pre-masters are all single semester programs. I suppose worth also pointing out that, you know, this is a coastal university, and one of the areas where our location and our academic excellence coincide is around all things marine. So we are ranked top 5 globally for marine teaching and research. So there's marine, coast and ocean sciences, maritime business. So that's all tightly sort of connected to our location here as well on the coast in the southwest of England. Yes, health and human sciences, that's something else you won't see in every pathway college, excuse me. So that offers routes into nursing degrees and other health professions such as physiotherapy, occupational therapy, all of that kind of thing. So, and as Richard mentioned earlier, we have things like maritime business. So, very wide range of programs, 3 different levels, 3 intakes during the year. And then pre-sessional English we mentioned before, didn't we? So this is our range of pre-sessional programs for students starting in September of this year. So 11-week, 8-week, 6-week and 2-week, depending upon the degree of improvement that a student needs to make. So the longest program can take a student from 4.5, or the shortest program, essentially the 2-week program, is an opportunity to settle in and adjust for students who are no more than 0.5 of a band short in one aspect. So a wide range of pre-sessional programs, all delivered by the university's English Language Centre, where our colleagues are very experienced in delivering that kind of program and achieving high success rates for students. So any questions about our product range, our programs, our pre-sessional English? I think we've been getting quite a lot of questions in the chat. And I think we're on top of those, aren't we? With perhaps one exception, which I noticed is the next slide, which is about scholarships. So scholarships, yes, we do have scholarships. So the most imminent scholarship we can offer is an early bird discount for students who are starting in May, joining the May intake. And that requires a fee deposit payment by the 15th of March, and then an automatic £1,000 discount will be applied. Most of the scholarships we offer are for international students. So anything that might be available for home students would be available through the university after students progress from UPIC. The university is actually very generous in its range of scholarships for international students. So any UPIC student who has more than 85% attendance with us and who achieves over 70% in their academic grades would receive an automatic £2,000 award in their first year of study. And that award can continue through subsequent years of study if they maintain their academic performance. And there's an academic excellence award as well, which a UPIC student has achieved previously, and that's 50% of the fee. And also that can continue through subsequent years of study, so not just for the first year. So yes, there are some scholarships available at UPIC. That will vary by intake. For May, we have the early bird discount. The university has quite an extensive and quite generous range of scholarships available for international students as well. So yes, scholarships, definitely. And then moving on, I think I'm passing over to Amy, who is going to take us on our virtual tour.
Happy to, Tim. Okay, I'm just going to share the screen. I'm just going to double check. Nico, can you see the screen okay? Perfect, thank you. Okay, so what I'm going to start off showing you is our location ourselves at UPIC. So we are here at the end of this lovely tree-lined avenue, and we are right on the edge of the city. So I'm going to give you a short tour of the city and then finish back at UPIC. I will take my time here because sometimes Tim gets a little travel sick. So right now I am just above the actual center of the campus, the university campus. So you can see that really we are only a very short walk into the center of the campus. This here is an overview of the city. So you can see in the distance, you have Plymouth Sound, Plymouth Hoe, which I'm going to take you to in just a moment. So Before I do, sorry, I should show you actually our facilities. One of the things obviously that a student needs to arrange before coming here is their accommodation. And the university, as well as ourselves, the university has its own accommodation on campus. And something we will mention later is our own accommodation partner that we work with. But I would like to show you some of the university accommodation. So we have here, we have Gilwell Hall, Robbins Hall, and Radnor Hall. So I'm going to show you into one of our actual examples of the accommodation, just so you can see what it looks like. So in Gilwell Hall, for example, this is an example of one of our single occupancy rooms. They're small, they're cozy, they're comfortable. Some of them are en suites, some of them are not. And those obviously who are not will have shared bathroom areas. And there are also shared kitchen areas, which you can see here. They are bright, open, spacious. They don't come with the food. Obviously, the students will have to provide that for themselves. So that is one of our accommodation options. And I will also say that the university accommodation works on a first come, first served basis. So it is important to encourage the students to arrange that or to look into that as soon as possible. Before I move on, I'm going to show you some of our the facilities in the campus itself. So we are right over here, the actual students' union here. And right next to it is the library, which is open 24/7. And some of our newer and newly renovated buildings, you have here Babbage, which caters for our engineering courses. Over here, you've got Roland Levinsky, which holds some of our more creative courses. And then you've got the Marine building there, which is the name in itself, which hosts the Marine courses. Speaking of the Marine courses, I'm going to show you our marina, the Marine station, and the aquarium. Because Plymouth obviously is proud to be a marine city, a coastal city. So we have lots of marine courses available. You will see the Marine station right here, right next to our lovely marina area. I'm going to turn around slowly and just show you the Barbican. The Barbican here is another part of the marina and also has lots of lovely restaurants and shops. It's a really nice spot for tourists and for students to visit. And speaking of visiting, we've also got our aquarium here, which is a really amazing place to visit, both as a student, if that is your interest, or if you are visiting the area yourself. And I will take you just over to our seafront area, which can be one of the busiest spots of the city because it's one of the prettiest. So we've got Smeaton's Tower here, and we've got what is called our Tinside Lido. And it is exactly as it appears. It's our outdoor pool, which is going to be quite chilly at the moment. It's not actually got water in it right now, but when it comes to the summertime, and that is one of the other benefits of the students enrolling in May, is they can avail of this pool here and the lovely the Hoe area right here. So I will take you to sort of see where we have come to. The university is there, which is where we started. We have just visited the marine area here to the right. And if I just show you over here to the left, we've got Cornwall there and some other areas to visit. You've got Royal William Yard, which is right here. It's a lovely place to walk, to visit. It has weekend markets and it has some very nice restaurants as well. So the city is quite spread out. But then from where we are right now to the university is actually less than a mile walk. And I will show you again back to where we were. And I will just point out some of the things for the students to avail of in their off time. You've got Drake Circus here. You've got the high streets along here. And in this area and further down here, there are lots of restaurants to cater for multicultural interests. And then I mentioned for the students out of class time, there is I would call a West End standard theatre down here. So there really is lots for the students to see and do to help them settle into the Plymouth life. So I'll bring you back to the university campus and to UPIC. As I said earlier, we are very close. We are just on the edge of the university campus. Before I finish up there, I will just zoom in and show you. Again, we are there, and just beyond it, we have, for example, Intercity Place, which hosts our health and human sciences courses. And just behind that, we have our train station. So the train station is less than a 10-minute walk to our building. It's ideal for at the weekend if a student wants to visit other cities, such as London, but London is not close enough that the student can live there and then commute here for classes. So finishing up at UPIC here again, our admissions team, our marketing team, our student experience team are all here. We are here Monday to Friday, 8:30 to 5. And we also do provide an out-of-hours support service for students if they're in an emergency. So that is our location, and that is our city of Plymouth. So I hope you enjoyed the tour. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Thanks very much, Amy. So I think I need to try and share again. So if we go back to there. There we go. So any questions on our fabulous location? You'll have seen it's a coastal city. We're not in London, but that means we have much cleaner air, nicer views, waterfront, and much lower living costs as well than in London or the big cities. Just briefly to refer to the UK Agent Quality Framework, this is something that our partner university has signed up to, and you will be hearing more about, I'm sure, in due course if you haven't already. And then accommodation. So Amy showed you some of the university's accommodation there. It's a massive advantage of Plymouth as a student city, but there is stacks of accommodation available, prices from around £100 a week, and lots of it very close to the university campus and to the college. We are a city centre university, and the college is on the campus, and there's lots of accommodation which is all around the university as well. So nothing is too far away. We work with a particular letting agent called Clever. You don't have to use them, but you can if you would like to, and they provide things like a complimentary bedding pack and help with moving in on moving day. So, and what else about the location? So we are a top 15 safest UK city as well. So you'll know the UK, you can never guarantee that nothing bad will happen, but looking at the crime rates, we're in the top 15 of safest UK cities here in Plymouth. And also the top 3 UK young universities. So that's among universities less than 50 years old. So high quality university in a very student friendly city. Social media channels. I pass back to you, Amber, for this one.
Okay, yeah, so we're active across several social media channels. We have Instagram, Facebook, Threads, YouTube, and LinkedIn. So do take a look. We have our handles and hashtags there. See what we do. The most important thing we try to do is make sure that students feel integrated with the university. So we list all of the latest activities on campus, all the latest jobs for part-time work as well, and all kinds of things they need to know about their curriculum. So timetable information, exam dates, and important things. Yeah, so in marketing here, I work quite closely with the student experience team as well. So we kind of work together to get all the latest events and information out to students on our social media. Thanks, Tim.
Thank you, Amber. And as I mentioned at the start, we are recording this session. So we'll send you a link as soon as we have that from Zoom, but we'll also post it on the YouTube channel. So do take a look at the YouTube channel. There's getting on for 100 videos on there now, all kinds of different informative content. So that's just one of the things that we do. I can see quite a few people have had a go at the poll, but we'll leave that open for a few more minutes in case anybody would still like to have a go. And we'll also go through those questions at the end in the poll. 5-star service. So we know this is really important to you. You have customers, so your prospective students, their parents, other stakeholders. So it's really important to us that our agents are not embarrassed in front of their customers, and there are a number of different ways that we can help with that. So in most cases now, we can provide a response within 24 hours on a complete application. So we admit that this hasn't always been the case over the last couple of years. We have had slower turnaround times, but I can assure you that we are now within 24 hours and sometimes significantly less. As Nico mentioned before, we are one of the few Navitas colleges where we can issue the CAS within the college. So we don't have to draw up a file and send that to the partner university and wait 3 weeks for their committee meeting. We can issue the CAS ourselves in-house, so there's no long wait for the CAS. I mentioned a couple of instances where we would need an academic board decision, but that is completely within our control. So also don't feel that's something that's going to be burdensome and administrative and protracted. We can do that very quickly and in-house. And finally, we can now do the interview within our admissions team for some of the health and human sciences applications. So there have been instances where we've been reliant on university faculty colleagues to book an interview, and they haven't had a slot in the near future, but we can now expedite that by doing lots of those interviews within our own admissions team in the college. So we think those are various things where we can now offer you a 5-star service. So if you don't believe me, please test us on that, and we'll hope to prove that we are actually really good at service now. And getting very close to the end here, but what we tend to do, because we know there are lots of questions which are routinely asked, so we'll go through our FAQs, our frequently asked questions, and ask those of each other. But if you have any questions after this, then do please feel free to ask. And we'll also go through the poll to make sure the answers to that are clear before the end. So if I start by asking Nico, is there an option to study online?
No, there isn't an option to study our program online. The only case is if the student need a pre-sessional and they prefer an online pre-sessional. In that case, that's the only case. But for all the other program, the lesson are delivered face-to-face and the student need to be on campus. Amber, is Plymouth close to London?
Oh, and it depends on your perspective, Nico, because it's only 3 hours away. So some would say that's really far, and some would say, oh, that's just round the corner. So yeah, we're not very close to London, but you can definitely get there for a day trip or a weekend trip for sure. So yeah, if you're going to book accommodation, please don't book it in London because you won't be able to get to class easily. So yeah, it's not that far, but a little bit far. So I'll just ask a question to Tim. What if a student has a study gap?
Not a problem at all. We're always happy to look at applications from students with a study gap. Often, those are some of our most highly motivated applicants who've done some previous study, embarked on a career, found they've got a bit stuck in making progress in their career, and have actively chosen they want to come back to study. So we often welcome those. We would need to see a CV that explains all of the time spent between study and the application to come back to study. So we'd need that to be complete, obviously. We'd need to see a personal statement that explains the motivation to come back to study. I think in some really extreme cases, we might just think a little bit about whether an extreme study gap might risk a visa refusal. But we'll look at each and every case on an individual basis. And if we can possibly make a decision in favour of an applicant, then we absolutely will. Jake, can students book accommodation outside Plymouth?
Yeah, so in the grand scheme of things, we will say no. Certain towns or very, very nearby cities nearby possibly, but students do have to be close enough to the campus to be able to get into class on time. A grand consensus that we use in student experience is 45 minutes to at most an hour, but really they need to be in the Plymouth city centre. students will have like 9 a.m.s and classes sometimes finishing at 6, half 6 in the afternoon. So I'm going to say yes. They do need to book in Plymouth. Any further than that, and then we probably won't. We'll have issues with that. We do ask for a tenancy agreement, so they do need to have a tenancy agreement for a Plymouth address. We do have people living in Torquay, but that's about the furthest we accept.
Thanks, Jake. Pass the baton on.
Amy, do students have to attend class every day?
Yes, they do. Most of the time, classes are Monday to Friday. They might not go on all day, but they have to attend all of their classes. Nico, can students pay their fees in installments?
Right, so we don't have any installment plans as such, but the important thing is that students need to pay all their fees by the deadline that they are provided. So it doesn't matter if they want to do in 2 or 3 installments before that deadline, but it's important that the whole of the fees that has been requested needs to be paid by the deadline. So for example, we won't be able to raise the cars until the whole deposit has been paid. So yes, we might have set if they want to pay 2, 3 installment, as long as the whole fee that has been required is paid by the deadline. And finally, Amber, are there any opportunity for part-time work in Plymouth?
Yes, there are, Nico. So our students can work up to 20 hours per week during term time. So they can take a look at what's available. They can work in, say, hospitality, retail, maybe some office work as well. Yeah, so it's really good. And the good thing as well is that the university do post a lot of the latest vacancies on social media. So that's ways that students can stay up to date with everything that's going on there. Thank you.
Okay, so those are all of the frequently asked questions that we had. Just looking at the chat, I think there's only one outstanding question there. What's the initial deposit a Pakistani student would have to pay in order to get the CAS? So we almost entirely don't differentiate by nationality, but the deposit payment is 50% for undergraduate and 100% for pre-masters, as Nico has just written in there. And then looking at the poll, what have we not answered there? So options to study online. That's only for pre-sessional English, for some of the pre-sessional programs. So all of our foundation, year 1 and pre-masters programs are now fully on campus. Plymouth close to London, as Amber very wisely said, that's all about perspective. So about 3.5 hours, but that could be a bad day in Lagos or Shanghai, just getting from one side of the city to the other. We're in the bottom left corner, the southwest of England. London is in the southeast, but it's a small country. What else have we not covered? Attending classes every day, Monday to Friday, 9 to 5. And that, as Jake said, impacts on needing to be in a commutable distance so you can get in time and can get home safely afterwards. I think, how many intakes does UPIC have each year? I think we've repeated that several times. I know I have. So 3 intakes, September, January and May. And then the first settlers left Plymouth for North America in 1620, so just over 400 years ago. Oh, Jake, look at this. So Jake is from Yorkshire. We have this question. What's the name of the famous food in the southwest of England? Yorkshire pudding is from the north. Yorkshire is the name of the county. The Cornish, or well, in Devon we talk of it as the pasty, is a kind of semicircular pie that was originally used by farm workers. So the crust was the handle in effect, but the pasty can have all kinds of different fillings, and it's a local delicacy. So, Aimane, I have a request, you say. How can we help you? No? If you raise your hand, we can make sure you're able to speak. Or anybody else, do you have any other questions before we wrap up? I'll put the contact details up there. So you have my contact details, those of the student experience team and the admissions team. But you've met most of us now, actually, on this call. So feel free to reach out to any of us at any time with any questions that you have. Oh, are there any Moroccan students in the university? Can we make a presentation in Arabic? That would be amazing for our campaign. I know, Amber, we've reached out, haven't we, to try and collect a lot of student profiles. I think specifically in relation to Moroccan students, you would have to leave that one with us to allow us to do some research. I'm sure there will be. Lots of people are very happy to engage in doing videos and that kind of thing. Not everybody is, but leave that with us and we'll see what we can find out on that one. Any other questions? Any other comments? Bing, anything we've forgotten, do you think, from a Navitas perspective?
I just would like to emphasize the points that you mentioned earlier to our agents here. UPIC now issued a CAS in-house, just so you guys know, not many of the colleges can do that. So if you have any late applications or any last-minute students still looking around, would like to enroll for the May or September intake, for example, not much time left until the starting date, please submit application to UPIC because considering the application turnaround time and also the CAS request turnaround time, so we can manage the expectations for your students, so therefore they can get bigger chance to enroll at UPIC. And also the other thing would like to emphasize is the 15th of March, which is the early bird discount deadline. We have another week-ish to go, guys. So if you have any students that have these like a discount binding signals in your pub looking for the university options, please do feel free to contact us. If you have a students, for example, still thinking about the university choices and would like to, get more information, a bit more time in terms of whether we can extend a little bit about this deadline, please feel free to get in touch with us and also the colleagues at the UPIC. We will see how we can do to help you to enroll the students here. Nothing else from my side, Tim, but
Great.
just wanted to thank you for this such informative sessions. I like the tour. I believe our agents here also like the tour here, so give us like a brief information and also like a very good sessions in terms of how we can better recruit and deliver the students to UPIC. Just one last thing for all the partner agents here. Thank you for being with us at this session. And Amber showed us we have the Instagram and we have the Facebook and a lot of the social media platforms, and we are very active on these kind of social medias. If you guys have any like campaigns or you request any social digital media supports, please just feel free to contact us. We can try to generate this kind of information for you guys. And also we have been doing a lot of like webinar sessions to help our partner agents to generate the leads, to convert the students. If you have those kind of requests, please just feel free to get in touch. Thank you.
Great, thanks, Bing. And if you enjoy the tour, I'd say to everybody, the city's even better in person. So please do feel free to come and visit and see for yourselves. Richard, any final thoughts from Plymouth Business School? Are you miming this, Richard?
I've done it again on my excitement to talk.
You're following Jake's fine example.
Yeah. So no, I haven't got anything additional to add, but I think it's been wonderful to meet everybody. And yeah, if anybody's got any further questions for me or the Plymouth Business School, they can route them via your team. Tim, is that okay?
Sure, absolutely.
Michael,
I can see there's a hand raised.
Yes, just a final question. Thank you very much for it. I got a question about the finance. So there is that great thing that the good students, which have a good attendance and grades, they got that 2,000 ground discount on a student loan, right? Is that correct?
Yes. So any UPIC student international fee-paying UPIC student who achieves 85% attendance and 70% in their grades receives a £2,000 discount on their fee at the university when they progress.
Mm-hmm. And so I think it's a great initiative. And my question is, what's happened with this 2,000? Is that just reduced from the student finance, or does it goes to the student account? What's happened with this 2,000 when they take a discount?
That would apply to full fee paying international students. So if they're not paying fees themselves, so if they're using student finance to pay the fee, then there's nothing really that we can discount for them, I'm afraid.
Okay, so it's just been reduced from the 10,000 to, let's say, less than 8,000, right?
Yeah, that's about right.
Okay, that's fine. Yeah,
okay.
Thank you.
Great. So I think we'll wrap up there. Thank you, everybody, very much. Thank you to my UPIC colleagues, to Amber, to Jake, to Nico, to Amy. Thank you for your contributions. Thank you, Richard, for being so succinct and informative at the same time about Plymouth Business School. And thank you to Bing for helping coordinate this, and to all of the agents who've joined. Thank you very much for your time, for your attention. As I said right at the start, we've been recording this, so as soon as I have the link, I'll share that with you. And then please do feel free to get in touch at any time with any other questions you have. So thank you very much, everybody. We'll leave it there and enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.